The need is great. Monika, welcome to the program.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for putting us in touch with such wonderful people like Bill and Debbie, making such a fantastic impact. So, speaking of impact, we did already touch on it a little bit in our conversation about some of the numbers of people that are being helped, but more than that, we talked a lot about the stories behind I guess the inspiration, why they do what they do. But Monika, I figured having you on, let's talk numbers. Let's talk about the reach to the Salvation Army throughout the Chicagoland area. Tell us about all the programs they're doing and how many people you're reaching on an annual basis.
Wow, that's a big number. So we have probably
I know.
We have about 50 distinct programs that we consider when we think about what we do to serve others in the area. And so the Salvation Army, as you know, operates all over the United States and, quite frankly, the world. And every community we're in, we behave a little bit differently, and that's one of the beauties of being a decentralized kind of organization like we are. And so we'll go into a community, we'll say, okay, what's there, what needs to be done, and how can we help with that? And so whether, like in the Chicago market, for example, a lot of what we focus on is around feeding and shelter. So we operate one of probably the largest family shelters in the city of Chicago. We also have other programming that through emergency assistance and diversion funding that, like if you notice, for anyone who pays a NICOR bill or an Illinois American Water bill, you might see the Salvation Army shield on the back of your statement, and that's because we participate in a program we're trusted to administer the funds that when you round up and make a small donation to help others, like we're the ones who are then sharing that directly with people who need it. So we'll help, and that part is called emergency assistance. There's also job training. There are rehabilitation programs, like medical rehabilitation programs for substance abuse, counseling programs, case management, after school. I mean, you name it, there's probably a program for that.
Wow.
And
to think that so many people, the only time they see the Salvation Army is, we talked in the last segment about the ringers. So everybody's used to being out in the cold and seeing the ringers, but you're doing so much more.
Right. So Christmas is, arguably that's like 60 or 70% of our fundraising happens at that time of year. And so that is when we're most visible, because when people tend to think about giving, we're one of the top organizations that people will think of, which we're grateful for. They trust us with the support, and they trust us with their dollars, and they know that we're as efficient as we can be. So we are I am pretty proud of that. And that's something that I feel like when I started working at the organization, I was like, wait, we do this and we do that? Like, why aren't we telling people? So it's often the officers and the staff and the members of the congregations that are just quietly serving, and they're really good at it. They're really good at solving problems and saying, hey, you know what? This needs to be done. We're going to roll up our sleeves and figure it out. And so over time, all these different programs have developed, and then we serve probably 1.5 million meals a year through our various feeding programs, grocery assistance programs, that kind of thing, congregate dining. We probably are providing, I think, almost 200 nights. 200 people a day are staying in one of our shelters.
And Monika, what I'm struck with,
a day are getting served, not struck. Sorry, you said struck.
No worries. What I'm struck with is the very unique approach that you take to both every individual that you're so privileged to service and to help. Sure. You just talked about homelessness, you talked about feeding, you talked about job training, but a very, very unique approach. There's no one size fits all. Not everybody needs all of the services, and some people require more support and more services, but then also on the volunteer side and the donor side. And that's really where I want to spend a few minutes on right now, because we are a business show. We have a lot of people. Believe it or not, we are already in February, but people are still trying to execute on their New Year's resolutions and finding ways to do good. Hopefully people still have a lot of bandwidth. People can still step up and make some volunteer commitments. I know you have your civic luncheon coming up with Tom Ricketts in just a few months. I know there's a lot of donor opportunities. Walk us through, for a business owner out there, how can they get involved in the Salvation Army?
Oh gosh, there's so many things. Well, considering most people think about clothing and food drives and toy drives at Christmas, which are beyond helpful and beyond measure. I mean, make Christmas possible for thousands and thousands of people because of all of the generosity of others. We have businesses that we partner with throughout the year that will do something scalable, whatever fits their scale. We had an organization, actually, I have a meeting on tomorrow to kind of figure out the best way to help this particular company either make sure that on their website they include a link because they support us and they want their clients and customers to know that. So they've asked us, how do we do that? How do we highlight what you need throughout the year? Employee picnics sometimes get converted into making hygiene kits. And so some organizations will come to us and say, you know what? We want to make sure, we're so grateful for the year we've had that we want to make sure we do something for other people. And so either at an employee meeting or if they just needed sort of a break, it only takes half hour, 45 minutes. And depending on the size of the group, you can fill 500 or 600 hygiene kits with just some very basic supplies and then write some notes of encouragement. So we facilitate kind of those types of what we call sort of one-time events and activities. Ongoing support, organizations or business owners or anybody. I mean, we have food pantries all over Chicagoland and even up and down the Fox Valley. So there is always a need for volunteers to help us stock and sort and take inventory. One of the things we're looking at this year is, if you have a skill set that either you or somebody on your team wants to develop further, we're trying to figure out ways to engage volunteers through that and saying, you know what, I would really like a committee of people who are better at marketing than I am. I would really like a committee of people who are better at data and analytics than I am. My team is pretty small but mighty. But when we look at some of the things that we're looking from a capacity building standpoint, there are opportunities that, eventually, we have people who serve on our Chicago advisory board who are very, very accomplished, but they didn't just show up there. There are a lot of committee work and other opportunities that may not be direct service that are also available. We have a wonderful volunteer manager. Her name is Linda Ryder, and so she kind of does that. She does what I think our officers do for clients, like figuring out where our donors and volunteers are and saying, okay, this is what you want to accomplish. Let's find you the right program or community center to connect you with. So
hopefully a lot of people will be reaching out to Linda because that's tremendous. And that's a great summary of so many of the different areas, both of the programs being offered, but also ways for people to step up and get involved. And meanwhile, I know as folks drive down the streets, they still see the thrift shops. They still see the donation trucks. There's always ways that people can donate items. Maybe people have excess items that they want to be donated. So Monika, I want to make sure that obviously our listeners know what's the best way to get a hold, find out about all those opportunities? Is there a website that they should check out?
Yeah, absolutely. The website is salarmychicago.org, so SALARMY Chicago.org. And then you can navigate around, and I'm sure my name and email address is on there somewhere. People can contact me directly if they'd like, and then I can point them in the right direction. But yeah, anytime anyone wants, or actually they can also just go to their nearest community core center, which, if depending on where you live, in the suburbs between kind of Route 59 and Oak Brook, there's sort of not a whole lot of community centers. That's where Service Extension volunteers operate. But otherwise, we have facilities. I think I should know this number off the top of my head. I want to say there's at least 26 facilities around the Chicagoland area for someone to go into and say, hey, I want to do some more. Tell me what you do here. So yeah, salarmychicago.org is the best place to start. And I'm sure if you put my name in Google, my email address will pop right up.
It sure does. No, Monika, we appreciate it. And Salvation Army continuing to evolve and innovate based on the needs of the community. And I cannot emphasize enough, said it several times over the past few minutes, both for the folks that need the resources as well as for the people that want to provide the resources. The Salvation Army is there. It's February. It's a good time to step up, get involved. Check out the website, salearmychicago.org, and get involved. Thank you so much, Monika Burchfield. Make sure to get in touch. We're going to be back on Get Down to Business, more small business jobs and entrepreneurship. Check out my website, shalomklein.com. We'll be back.